Anthony Brindisi. This is all, by the way, happening very early in a congressional campaign that isn't really even underway. Anthony Brindisi, the Assemblyman, is on the line right now. First of all, is that deal on Vernon Downs, Anthony, is that going to take more from the taxpayers?
It is not going to take more from the taxpayers, and thanks, Bill, for having me on. What that deal does, and this was a deal that was worked on. It was made a top priority by the Mohawk Valley Nine, which, as you know, is a bipartisan group of legislators, Democrats, Republicans. I'm a member. Senator Griffo, Senator Seward, others that represent the region are members, made this their top priority for the end of session because we heard loud and clear from many of the families and the workers who work at Vernon Downs that it was unacceptable for this facility to close. So it is not a tax break for Vernon Downs. It's not a tax deduction for Vernon Downs. Simply what it is an adjustment on the administrative fees that Vernon Downs has to pay to the Gaming Commission. The money doesn't come from education. It comes from the fees that this track has to pay to the Gaming Commission.
In fact, I have to say that had they closed, this is what Steve Carell Jeff Carell was talking about. Had they closed, we would have lost all that money that goes towards education
and the jobs
You would have lost 300 jobs that are good paying jobs. You would have lost multiple vendor contracts that are supporting small businesses in the region. You would have lost millions of dollars that the track and the casino pay into education every year because the video lottery terminals, that money generated from those goes to fund education in New York State. You would have decimated the tax base of the town of Vernon, where the track is located. You would have decimated the tax base of the school district there. You really would have sent shockwaves through the western part of the county and into Madison County and all of central New York if that track had closed. So I don't see this as a tax giveaway to people who are currying favor for the governor. I see it as a relief package for a track that is struggling and for people who desperately need those jobs. That's what we did, and that's why the Mohawk Valley Nine supported that legislation so much. And it's very unfortunate to hear the Congresswoman say one thing on a radio talk show outside of the area where no one here can hear it, and then come back to the region and say a completely different thing. It's unfortunate. I think that's what makes people so frustrated about politicians today.
All right, I'm even going to leave the personal stuff alone. I'm not even going to get to that, but you've got to get a feeling right there for the stuff that she was alluding with your dad. You got to be thinking that this is going to get dirty.
Well, you saw with even before I announced the attacks started coming to me. Even before I was announcing I was running for Congress. So I guess, I'm a big boy. I have thick skin. That's what you have to have when you're in politics, and I'll take it. It's unfortunate. I think from what I've heard from voters on the street, they do not want to see a campaign based on personal attacks or smears like that. They want to see a campaign that's based on issues, on policy, and how we're best going to represent this area in Washington. I think I have a track record of being a bipartisan, common sense consensus builder who wants to work with Democrats and Republicans to get things done. That's what I've done in Albany. That's what I want to do in Washington. And that's what we don't see enough of happening in our country right now.
All right, Anthony Brindisi, who is declared a candidate in the congressional race coming up. We appreciate your. Do you have something to add?
Thank you, Bill.
Hold on one second.
Assemblyman, before you go,
yes.
How will you handle that? I mean, if this is coming up now, when she's talking about your father and Google him and look him up, how do you plan to handle that? I know you said you're going to focus on the issues, but this is something you're going to have to respond to in some way because some people might be familiar with things or some people might have no idea what she's talking about. As Bill said, it was a lot of innuendo, and Google it and go find out. How are you going to handle that during the campaign? How do you answer that?
We're going to see if it continues. If it continues, obviously I'm going to have to address it. I love my father. He's a great attorney. He's represented countless people in this area. He's done many good things for charitable organizations in this region, and I have nothing but love and admiration for who he is. My mother passed away when I was 4 years old, and my father and my sisters shouldered the burden of raising me and making sure that I was well educated and that I was able to grow up in a loving family without a mother. So that's the kind of man he was and the family that I came from, and I'm very proud of that. And if she wants to attack him, for things that happened when I was 4 years old, I think voters see right through that kind of stuff. They don't want to hear that nonsense. What they want to hear is how we're going to be able to make their lives better, how we can help provide good-paying jobs in the area or health care for people or making sure that everyone has access to a good education. Those are the issues that are important to voters in this area, and those are the issues that I'm going to work on and talk about in this campaign.
All right. I'm going to stop it at that. Anthony, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Thanks for calling in here this morning.
All right, Bill. Thank you very much.